We just heard in the last session panel about the challenges in multimodal requirements and things available in the market. So if we talk about the multimodal cross-border logistics, we have sea transportation where IMDG guidelines come from the picture. It clearly say about the declaration of right kind of product, hazard information, right labeling, everything, and these norms are very stringent and they have their own checklist and the compliance is easily available. And similarly, in road air, we have IATA guideline which specify the requirement and the things are there to comply. But when the road bridging is come on the picture, so we don't have an ADR like European guideline in India. In India, for road, we have CMVR requirements, but it is not as much as stringent as ADR, especially on the product portfolios. Like we have petroleum room, we have SMPV rules, but many product-specific requirements nowhere mentioned. People has to develop their own process. Like for which product, what sort of vehicle required, what is the integrity. If we talk about ISO tank, so what is the integrity of that ISO tank? Whether it is really capable to deliver our hazardous product to the destination, to that country. So in India or in global, we don't have very good infrastructure. We have infrastructure, that is the reason we are able to manage all these things. But when we talk about the integrity testing of or certification process of ISO tank, we are very less people we have as a shippers, as a company where we need to deal with the exports. We have very limited facility and many times we lose our consignments or we end up with paying higher cost. So we have gaps in road transportation, where if we go through the movement of hazardous goods, the stringent requirement for the driver. But for one trip, we can't expect that 100% compliant driver come into the picture to deliver our hazardous product for the entire law. These are the major challenges, especially challenge comes on the road transportation.
Thank you, Dinesh. When it comes a trade, a transition cross-border basically, there is IMDG guideline which is to be completely followed if the shipment is moving to a sea mode, you rightly said, and then the IATA guideline which is related to if you are moving shipment to air mode. Now the basic, what I've seen in the industry basically, big companies like Reliance or other companies, they follow most of the guidelines which is there, which is required. But I don't say the smaller companies do not follow, but I've seen practically, there's the documentation part is not that concrete. Sometimes there are incidents wherein small players or maybe knowingly, they're declaring DG cargo as non-DG, just to ensure that the freight portion is saved. Entire logistics, you get a benefit of almost 20, 25, 30% in overall logistics cost if you declare non-DG. They force document like MSDS, and it's happening. But this may lead to a bigger incident while your container is on the sea basically. Because if the right declaration is made about the cargo, this DG declaration and everything, accordingly the shipping line put up the container on that particular location. So it can be easily traced and easily action can be taken.
Yeah, just want to add, in the previous panel itself, Ravi sir has highlighted properly, if we go through the hazardous product transportation in the port locations, they had maintained and they have their procedures, but for the one trip, it is very hard to get peso breathing. We discuss everything, but this problems comes in this part also. Cross borders, logistics supply chain is a really challenge to get the right infrastructure in the society, and it really painful to comply all the norms with the requirements because requirements is very low. We need to manage road. Rest everything is all should.
Yeah. Mililji, when hazardous cargo transport incident occurs, response time and coordination determine the impact. What are the critical elements of a world-class emergency response framework for chemical logistics?
Yeah, this is a good question because we actually observed one incident. So every panel actually discussed the same incident. And actually this is the gap where we are not prepared for the emergency preparedness. So emergency response plan should cover all the requirements in terms of identification of the risk. So it should cover what types of hazards in terms of leakages or spills or any toxic release on road or any media, transport media, and type of actually compliances to cover this has to be followed properly. So it should be a document which should cover the proactive risk assessment tool, then productive preventive measures, then predictivity. Like suppose there is a material which is going from container, that temperature has to be monitored, there are other parameters should be monitored, and proactively it has to be come to the person, the transporter, to know that there is a risk because of the increase in the particular parameters. So, and rapid response has to be properly monitored, and for that rapid response plan, we should have that measurements, and that actually we don't have that kind of facilities. The facilities are limited to take care for this type of incident on road. And well, the second thing is coordination and communication. So who should communicate what to whom? That actually guidelines need to be properly monitored. Then training and mock drills has to be carried out. So the mock drills are carried out at factory levels, but on road, the mock drills are not carried out that much because there are certain permissions are required. The district collector's permission, then local police commissioner, their permission, then local fire system, monitoring system, so their permissions. So all these permissions need to be taken, and that type of deal has to be taken. Few companies who are actually aligned with responsible care companies, they are doing this. But major companies who are not aligned with responsible care, they are not doing such type of preparedness. I think that preparedness are covered in multinational companies and other companies. So we need to actually align with their requirements.